Happy Saturdays, a college football podcast, back here with another episode. And today we're continuing the series of Pro Preview. Our first episode was on Jackson Dart. Pro Preview is a series where we just go over a college player that's super hyped going into the NFL, gives our predictions, and just goes over their overall situation in the team they're going to, and basically predict their year one. Again, like I said, our first episode was on Jackson Dart. If you want to check that out, today we're going over possibly the most hyped one of the whole entire thing, the most anticipated one. We are going over Ashton Jeanty. Now, we have a lot of things to go over with Ashton Jeanty and the Raiders. We have a couple of introductory things we have to go over, him going to the Raiders. And then we're going to go over a bunch of things. We're going to go over how he fits with the Raiders, if the Raiders made the right draft pick in general, selecting him. We're going to go over other running backs in year one to make our prediction on what Ashton Jeanty's stats will be this season. So let's get right into it. First off, into introductory things for the Raiders. The first thing I want to go over is he did get his number 2 that he had in college. He took it from Carlson. In the interview, he said it cost around one of new houses. Then he backtracked saying in Vegas, a house probably costs more. It costs what a new Mercedes costs. So I'm guessing it's around like 70, 75,000. He did pay for this number. Again, I'm not a car expert. Don't quote me on that. But new Mercedes, I'm thinking 70, 75,000, which isn't a bad price. I feel like this year, more than any other year, rookies are just trying to get numbers that aren't available, whether it's from veterans on the team or legends. A lot of people are unsuccessful. Jackson Dart tried to get the number 2 from the Giants. I think it was from Deonte Banks, where his number 2 for them. He couldn't get it. He said the price was way too steep in the 6 figures. Obviously, we know Abdul Carter. He tried to get from Lawrence Taylor, from Phil Simms. Both of them were not giving it. This is a little bit OD. Like, just get a number. Just pick a number. All these rookies try to get numbers that aren't available. Ashton Jeanty was successful, though, in getting his. And the other thing I wanted to go over right away as Ashton Jeanty joined the Raiders, Chip Kelly wants to remove his stance. Everybody knows Ashton Jeanty with the Michael Myers stance, standing up tall in the backfield. Right away, they want him to have a traditional running back stance before getting the ball. I don't like this at all. When you look at Ashton Jeanty, a guy that just had the second best running back season in college football all time, possibly, and right away you're trying to change what he's doing. I don't like it at all, especially with the investment you had in him, with the success he had. And when it comes to sports, a lot of things just don't make sense. Like, a lot of players do things very unorthodox that have become very successful. I don't like changing what Ashton Jeanty does, what he feels comfortable with right away. That's another little tidbit. But now we're going over Ashton Jeanty and the pick. So Ashton Jeanty obviously got selected by the Raiders. Now, do I like this pick for the Raiders? I said it time and time again. I do not like it at all. But the Raiders seem like they're very desperate to compete. When we look at their offseason moves, they signed veteran Geno Smith for a lot of money. I didn't like that move. I'm not a Geno Smith believer. They signed Pete Carroll as well. Again, Pete Carroll's window as an old coach, 2 to 3 years probably being the Raiders coach. So again, they have a short window. They sign a veteran quarterback, sign a veteran coach. They're looking to compete right away. And I don't know why they're doing this, because their roster isn't ready to compete as a whole. And now you get Ashton Jeanty with your pick. Ashton Jeanty, probably the best player available at that pick. But the issue I have with running backs coming to the NFL, their best years are their first 3 years. Their most usage is their first 3 years. We're going to look at past running backs, and you're going to see that. So Ashton Jeanty is going to hit his peak within the first 3 to 4 years. The Raiders aren't going to be at their peak. Again, the Raiders aren't going to be able to compete in this division. When we look at Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, the future of those 3 teams and where they are at right now compared to the Raiders, very, very different. I don't think the Raiders are a horrible roster. Again, I don't think they're going to be like top 3 bad. When you look at their offense, they do have weapons now with Ashton Jeanty. They have the best tight end in the league in Brock Bowers. They have Geno Smith, a veteran. You have Jacoby Myers. And the defense obviously has pieces as well. We know one of the best defensive players in the league, if not the best, Max Crosby. So again, the roster isn't horrible, but they definitely had holes, needs to fill. And to take a running back here where this running back, again, like I said, is going to peak within his first 3 years, and you're not going to be ready to contend while he's at his peak, I'm not the biggest fan of it. But nonetheless, let's get into running backs very similar to Ashton Jeanty that got picked with the same capital and, again, had a similar backfield that we're going to discuss and compare him to predict his stats. Now, first off, when we look at Ashton Jeanty in college, absolutely insane year. We have 374 attempts. That's a lot of attempts in 12 games, a high number. 2,601 yards, 29 touchdowns. Then he has 23 receptions for 138 yards. Again, a complete historic year. Now, in his backfield right now, he has Mostert and White. Raheem Mostert, again, a guy, a veteran that he definitely gets injured a lot, but anytime he is in an offense, he does get some work. So I expect Raheem Mostert to get a little bit of work. Zamir White, I don't really know what's going on with him. I liked him out of Georgia. I thought last year he could have been a huge fantasy steal, a under the radar type of guy. Because if you guys remember when Josh Jacobs was out, he played really well. Then last year he was just completely uninvolved. But they have two running backs in this room that, again, Ashton Jeanty is for sure going to be the lead back. But these guys are definitely going to take a little bit of work off him. Maybe they're a little bit more prevalent in the beginning of the year while he's getting his feet wet. Now, when we look at running backs with similar capital in the last decade or so, we're going to go over 4 running backs. Now, there's going to be a couple of running backs that aren't going to be on here, and you might say why. 2 that really come to mind recently, Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. I didn't put guys on here because I don't think the situation was fair to compare him to Ashton Jeanty. When we look at Bijan Robinson, he had Tyler Algier in that backfield, who was coming off a really good year, who definitely eat into some of his rookie production. And then you talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery still eating into his production. Again, these guys didn't really have the opportunity to be the complete bell cow year one that I think Ashton Jeanty could end up being. When we look at 4 guys, we go with Todd Gurley. He had 13 games. He had 229 attempts for 1,106 yards. Again, he missed 3 games. This was not one of his highest years attempt-wise because, again, like I said, he missed those 3 games. But factoring in the production and the rate that he was getting it in those 13 games, this would have been his highest attempt season at 229 attempts. This is what we're looking at, the attempts more than the production. Then when we go to Saquon Barkley, he had 16 games. He had 261 attempts, 1,307 yards, 11 touchdowns. This year was second in attempts. His highest was obviously this year with the Eagles. He had a historic year with the Eagles. He was used more than, anybody in the league, anybody in recent memory. But this was his second in attempts in his career, most attempts on the Giants in this year. So again, we're talking about a guy that came in right away to a non-contending team in the Giants. I think he came into a very similar offense as the Raiders have right now, because he came into an offense with a veteran and Eli Manning at the quarterback, very similar to Ashton Jeanty. And then you look at, they had Odell Beckham, who was a standout receiver. You have Brock Bowers, again, a standout pass catcher. Very similar type offense and a bad offensive line, which I think the Raiders have. That's another reason why I didn't like this pick. But again, non-contending team, similar type offense, 261 attempts, second in his career. Then we go to Ezekiel Elliott, which I think is the worst comparison. But again, he did have a hold in that backfield, and he did have very similar draft capital. He has godly numbers. 15 games, this guy had 322 attempts. I don't expect Ashton Jeanty to clear 300 attempts. That's just insane work. And I think a lot of this really came down to they had a rookie quarterback starting in Dak Prescott, a later round quarterback. I think in the beginning of the year specifically, they really put a hold on Ezekiel Elliott as the engine of that offense. But not only that, Ezekiel Elliott had the best year out of anybody on this list. We're talking about him being the best running back in year one. I don't expect that of Ashton Jeanty at all. He had 1,631 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns. Godly year. We knew that. And then Leonard Fournette, another guy that I think is very, very similar to the spot Ashton Jeanty's in. Even though the Jaguars were a good team, they predicated on running the ball and playing defense this year. And they had a veteran-type quarterback. Not a veteran, but he was in year 3 in Blake Bortles. You had Allen Robinson in offense, another standout pass catcher. And I think, again, very similar offenses. 268 attempts in 13 games. So we're talking about if he plays 16 games, he could clear that 300 mark possibly. This was the most attempts he ever had in his career, guys. This is what we're talking about. Ezekiel Elliott, first attempts in his career. Fournette, first attempts in his career. Saquon, second in attempts in his career, all in their rookie year. Fournette had 1,040 yards and 9 touchdowns within 13 games. So again, Ashton Jeanty being a lead back in his rookie year, he's going to have a lot of attempts. You could possibly see out of his whole career, his rookie year being first or second in attempts. And like I said, with the Raiders, they are desperate to compete for some reason right now. They are a little in denial. So they're going to give him these attempts. Now, like I said, I think Fournette was the best comparison. Not only was the offense is very similar, he did have TJ Yeldon and Chris Ivory in the backfield. Very similar to most of them White. Running backs that could definitely get touches, but again, not going to compete for him being the lead back. I think that was the most similar situation. Like I said, Ezekiel Elliott, just an outlier of a year. You come in as a rookie year, you're the best running back in the league. But not only that, you're on a contending team, a crazy contending team at that. Saquon Barkley, very similar as well. The only reason I don't like the Saquon Barkley comparison is because I feel like Saquon Barkley coming into the league, he was better than Ashton Jeanty. So I don't really like that comparison. And Todd Gurley, again, it's tough. 13 games. He was on a really, really bad team. I like Todd Gurley a little more than Ashton Jeanty too. It's kind of hard. I mean, we're looking at it in hindsight. These guys, great running backs. We don't know what Ashton is going to be. But I like the Fournette comparison the best. Now, going into his prediction, Ashton Jeanty, I came up with some numbers. Very weird numbers. So like I said, there was a bunch of differences in games. Some guys miss games. Some guys don't. I predicted 275 attempts for Ashton Jeanty if he plays 16 games. Again, that's kind of in the middle what everybody has. I don't expect him to clear 300 because, like I said, there are 2 running backs in this backfield that definitely could take some work. And you do have other things in this offense, like I said, a veteran quarterback. So you're not going to need to push the ball as much as if you had a rookie quarterback or an inexperienced quarterback. So I got 275 attempts. I had 1,221 yards, which I think is great for a rookie year. I don't think he's going to be the best or a top 3 running back in his rookie year. Again, there's definitely going to be some learning curves for Ashton Jeanty. This is a guy that was playing in the Mountain West. Again, I don't like to use it as an excuse, but again, we're talking about a guy in the Mountain West not really playing much NFL competition. When he did play Oregon, he tore it up. When he played Penn State, he didn't do as well. But again, I feel like that was, again, he was just climbing an uphill battle. Penn State's front compared to their front, they were just getting dominated. But again, backtracking, 1,221 yards, I feel like that's a great rookie year. That's a great rookie year. He would be a top 10 back, I feel like, with 1,221 rushing yards. And I feel like he has 12 touchdowns. Again, I feel like he's going to be in an offense that can get touchdowns. They're not going to be a bottom 3 team. But again, he's not going to be in an explosive offense where I see 15-plus rushing touchdowns. And then I expect him to get more work receiving than he did in college, just based on checkdowns with Geno Smith and obviously more games played. I have 35 receptions for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. So combined, he has 1,400 yards we're predicting for his rookie year, and we have 14 touchdowns. This is what I like for Ashton Jeanty. Again, going back to everything, I love Ashton Jeanty as a prospect. I don't really like the team he got selected to in the Raiders. Like I said, he's going to hit his peak the first 3 years, as we've seen with the other running backs with his capital and, again, his kind of hype. They get their most attempts in their first year. And again, they get the most work in their first 3 years. And the Raiders aren't going to be ready to contend, but they are desperate to compete. So they take him. They take the best player available at the pick, but I don't think the player that was right for them. Ashton Jeanty, regardless, though, he's going to be a phenomenal running back. And I think he's going to have a great rookie year regardless, even though this offensive line is going to be bad and he's not in the best situation. He's going to get the work, and he's super talented. We expect 1,400 total yards, 14 touchdowns. That's our prediction. That wraps up this pro preview for Ashton Jeanty. If you like this series, give it a like, subscribe to us, whatever you guys want to do. We're going to continue with pro previews throughout the offseason, and Sloppy Saturdays is out.